1051 FM.
Now 11 past 7. Welcome once again. I'm not alone. Bola Oba joins me today. Good morning to you and welcome to the show. I don't think that was audible enough. Benga Yoniga is equally here. Good morning to you, Benga, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Bella. Good morning, Lagos.
Alrighty, so I think a good place to start will be with regards to the exotic cars issue. It's been on since last week, and the interesting updates that we're getting, is that the House of Reps has begun a process of now preventing refurbished and smuggled cars from being supplied to it, as lawmakers have reportedly placed the order for a supply of 400 units of Toyota Camry 2020 models. Now, the House reportedly resolved to acquire the Toyota Camry 2020 model for members as official cars, otherwise called utility vehicles, and the resolution was reached at an executive closed-door session that was held on the 5th of February. Also at the meeting, the lawmakers rejected Nigerian brands and insisted on foreign ones, preferably imported and not locally assembled. The 400 saloon cars will be allocated to each of the 360 members and some top members of management and staff, chief of staff to 2 presiding officers, and some of their special advisors and assistants. Now, according to a report in the Punch newspaper, the House also made the move because, according to the National Assembly, they said they had been turned into a dumping ground for smuggled and refurbished automobiles, saying that some of the Peugeot 508 cars delivered to the members of the House had developed faults barely 90 days after the automobiles, bought for 6.1 billion naira at 17 million naira each, arrived in Abuja. There was claims that the cars were usually delivered directly to each of the lawmakers without passing through the right departments for inspection and approval. As such, the vehicles would carry official registration numbers, and it would be difficult for security agencies like the Nigerian Police Force and the Customs Service to stop them. It's also reported that in the last 8th Assembly, there was news about cars being faulty. They said they have turned the National Assembly into a dumping ground for refurbished and smuggled vehicles, and many of the cars were refurbished, and the manner in which they were supplied was equally questionable. Now, looking at the fact that in some way the vehicles are not the most important thing to these lawmakers, would it be a bad idea if official cars were passed down from one assembly to the other?
I don't know about passing down official cars from one assembly to the other, but of course, for a nation that is struggling to breathe under heavy debt, I mean, you just read in one of the paper that in 5 days, the foreign reserve depleted by over $5 billion. I don't see anything wrong in passing official car down if that is the case. But at the same time, for me, the issue is not about buying new cars.
Okay.
The issue is about where it is bought from. How many jobs are going to those places? Many of the other governments across Africa has been able to reach a deal with many of these companies to open their assembly plants in their country, and many of those countries do not consume many of these vehicles as much as Nigeria does. In the whole of Africa, Nigeria is the highest consumer of BMWs, of Toyotas, of Hondas, and many other cars like that. But those companies have their plants in South Africa, in Rwanda. It's only Honda that has its plant where they knock down and repackage in Nigeria. And if you're saying that you're not buying from the ones that are assembled within the country, and you have an issue of mass unemployment on your hands, you have issues of lack of funds on your hands. The old excuse is that they supply low quality vehicles, they supply those ones are stories for the gods, because the civil servants that help them make this happen are civil servants within the National Assembly, and they will not do it alone without the connivance of senior officials of the National Assemblies themselves, because there is no way they will get approval for all of this without principal officers signing in on and knowing about some of these things. So they should not come and tell us all those stories. It's only for people who don't know how the processes are arrived at. But above all, I think that we need a more responsible National Assembly and even executive arm, because when it comes to patronizing local product you always force it on the masses. Eat local rice, eat or buy this local product or that local product. And like when the issue of border closure happened, I gave you the story of this Sudan president, that Bashar, that had this like the equivalent of Hisba police in Nigeria, where they arrest people for drinking beer or having alcohol. But when he was deposed from government, they discovered a whole room filled with foreign, very strong alcohol. So all these people, how would you tell me to buy local rice when you are buying foreign vehicles? How would you tell me to buy local when the president is using foreign hospital?
Well, but looking at the fact that sometimes, it's expected that not everyone will be on board with some of these things that come from the National Assembly, what is the possibility that some might be, might not like that this is happening? Some may want to oppose this move by the assembly, but because they're not that many, it will still happen.
Did you read that they were saying that the pojo that was supplied to them was
faulty? Yes.
Pojo has a plant in Nigeria, is it? And if Pojo has a plant in Nigeria, and Pojo allegedly supplied them products, some of which ended up being faulty, and they have the opportunity, they would always have the opportunity of calling Pojo's management to say, you know what,
this and this is what's
something
wrong
could
with
be
the
done about
vehicles,
it. What would they be doing about the Toyotas they want to bring in from all the way from,
if they go faulty?
If they go faulty. Because I guess, and I'm talking as a motorman here. Many of you don't know that I'm an executive director of the best known auto maintenance and repair company in Nigeria today, and the best trainer of mechanics. The most, in the last 8 years, more than 7,000 mechanics have passed through our training institute, Automedics. And we are consultants to the National Automotive Design and Development Council. And I'm sitting there now thinking, you know what? It could just be ignorance on the side of their drivers, or how they handle, because most modern vehicles are mechatronic objects. And press the wrong button, a very new vehicle could just stop you on the road because you've pressed a button that gives a wrong instruction. So I'm sitting here now that if they got confounded using Pojo that has an onshore infrastructure to support them, going all the way to Japan is a bit of an adventure. I'm a bit confused this morning because even the president, unfortunately, has steered the honestness by giving the members of the National Assembly the impression
that may not go ahead.
That may not be the impression of the president. That may not be the impression the president wanted to create, but the president saying that to him, legislators are not overpaid, sends a wrong impression. And on the front page of major newspapers this morning, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and some other entities are practically lambasting the president. We have a legislative arm that has made the cost of governance very lousy. I'm not saying that the executive members are innocent too, but because of the number of people in the National Assembly, the cost of governance is too lousy. And to be bringing in the issue of this vehicle, they don't help him matters.
Exactly 20 past 7. Don't forget that you are a part of the conversation on Twitter at City1051 and our WhatsApp number 0909-916-4403. Governors in the country are worried about the depletion of the excess crude account ECA and the resurgence of insecurity, especially the upsurge of Boko Haram attacks. It was learnt over the weekend. Now, of concern to the governors is also the reluctance of the federal government to tinker with the revenue allocation formula, which they believe is desirable. The governors expressed shock that they were neither consulted nor informed as stakeholders on what warranted the withdrawal from the ECA, which was suddenly depleted from $325 million to $70 million in just 1 month. The ECA matter and the deepening insecurity formed a part of the agenda of the National Economic Council NEC meeting on Thursday. Now, when I saw this information last week as well, it was interesting. A governor actually said, we want the NEC to address the depletion of the ECA account from 325 million to 70 million in 1 month because we were not consulted. Do the governors have to be is the important issue the governors being consulted about what that money was for, or how it got to that amount at all?
Well, the governors are all in charge, as it seemed, when the ECA was agreed to be established way back. I think the governor has major stakeholders on how the ECA should be, and the issue of ECA, if I remember correctly, was one of the reasons among many others, that led to the quarrel with the Nigerian Governors Forum under Rotimi Amechi that time. And let's not forget that the ECA didn't just deplete from 320 whatever to 70 million. It was depleted from 2.36 billion,
which reportedly was what the Jonathan administration left.
Within that period. And looking at all they could have said had been done with this thing, Nigerian government keeps taking money from sources without accountability to block other sources, like robbing Peter to pay Paul, just to save faces. And because they are not ready to cut down on their own spending in many other areas that could have saved the nation, so they keep giving the appearance that all is well. Oh, we have not overborrowed. Oh, we have not overspent. Oh, we have not overpaid the legislator. All is well. But yet they keep stealing money from other areas to shock other areas within the government.
Who's stealing money?
Hoping that the people will not be able to have comprehension.
Are you saying the government is stealing money?
Their own money, or our own money, as the case might be, from one source to the other. Because the only thing that comes to my head is any money that cannot be accounted for properly is stolen until you are able to account for it. We have to get it right. It's not just this ECA. The issue of the foreign reserve is also there. That is going down drastically within the last. They told us when they came in that they have been able to shore up the foreign reserve to $43.7 billion. Now the foreign reserve is less than $20 billion. If the calculation with the recent $5 billion being removed is correct, so which means that within the last 4 or 5 years, over $20 billion have been taken from the foreign reserve. When they were throwing money to stabilize the naira in the forex market, we keep talking about the fact that throwing money at problem doesn't solve the problem. It is getting the right people who have the right knowledge base. They are rejoicing this morning that they've put in place the Cat 3 ILS at the airport in Lagos. Meanwhile, we've lost billions of naira because of the I don't want to use the word stupidity of some people who ought to know that you won't remove the Cat 2 when you are not ready to put in the Cat 3, and during those period when the dilly-dallying, it cost us national embarrassment, where Nigerian had to be diverted to Ghana, to Cote d'Ivoire, to other places when they could not land, when international flights and even local flights could not land in Lagos here.
Alright.
So I don't know what to say, but I just feel.
Well, about what are the economic implications of a depleted ECA?
My problem, to be honest with you, is not so much the ECA. The government gives us the impression that many of the measures they've taken have saved us money and have helped to increase revenue. Now, if measures such as closing the borders have helped us to increase revenue, if measures
we should have more money. That's the.
But why are you stealing my answer?
That's the logical conclusion.
I'm sitting there now thinking, oh, we said we've successfully reduced a pronounced percentage of the rice that we used to import, and we've saved enormous amount of money on
and
that.
Also the fuel subsidy.
That fuel subsidy.
They said that
fuel, they've not even have they been using the fuel subsidy now?
No,
because for so long a time the euphemism has been under trading, and you know the euphemistic phraseology they've been using is under trading. I'm not too smart. If I was smart, I would have ended up in NNPC as one of their chieftains. but you know what? Under trade. So I'm sitting there now thinking, you said you blocked this, you saved money, you blocked this, you saved money because you have stringently implemented the treasury account. What did you say?
Treasury single account.
TSA.
Treasury single account TSA, that you cut leakages. So
what is the possibility that perhaps some of these monies are being used for developments?
Are you seeing them? Are you not a Nigerian?
Oh, to be fair, I see some things that
are they commensurate
that
with
gladden
money?
me. Oh, commensurate is what I like, because you know what? I see a rail line that I never thought, and the other day after just coming back to Nigeria a couple of days, to be honest with you, yes, I was one of those who suffered the diversion of flights.
Oh,
my flight from Dubai was supposed to land in Lagos. They cancelled the flight less than 4 hours and said they weren't going to land. They weren't going to Lagos at all, and I had to choose between Ghana and Accra, between Ghana and Abuja. And I said nobody would take me to a neighboring country, because I'd experienced being flown to neighboring countries before. They don't treat Nigerians well, especially if you've flown there by an airline that is not scheduled to land there.
Right.
So I went to Abuja, but
let's quickly go elsewhere this morning before we go to the phone lines. The National Assembly and the Federal Ministry of Environment are putting finishing touches to a bill that's meant to prohibit the production of plastics which pollute the environment. Now, the sponsor of the bill, Odebi, representing the chairman of the committee, said the bill will be harmonized with input from the Federal Ministry of Environment to make a holistic law that would impose tough sanctions on the production of organic polymers. Is that the issue, or do we perhaps need to learn how to recycle and
It's a good bill. But the problem is, are they going to build their house from the rooftop again, or they will put infrastructures in place, enabling environment for people who want to come into the industry to produce alternative to all of these polymers? Because Rwanda has banned the use of all these plastics, and if Rwanda could do it, I don't know why Nigeria could not.
Okay. To quickly do this before
1 minute, we start.
Bella, Emilomokwe.
I think
Bella, we need to really talk to ourselves, and I'm talking about the citizenry, we the citizens. One of the major reasons why cities like Lagos get jammed and locked down when we have a little bit of rain is because of our bad manners. Bolaba, yourself, himself, our bad manners with plastic materials. My sister, you just need to look at our gutters. You need to look at our gutters and the level at which you see plastic waste, from sachet, that rubber, pure water, to
but what are the alternatives, if we're being honest? Well, it's not like the tap water we have is drinkable.
Well, there are technologies now.
That's one of the reasons why people would rather go for bottled water and pure water.
Even the bottled water, there are
inherent commercial opportunity. Maybe we need to enlighten people the more. People like us who are privileged to be using this thing called talking to the public.
Yeah.
Maybe because we can't leave this to the government alone. We are the ones who suffer the most. So look, from even knowing how to manage waste to knowing, like my friend and colleague here just stated, knowing how to engage in recycling, because it's a commercial opportunity. Many people are out there.
There is even a school, sir, in Lagos where you pay your child's school fees for those who could not afford to pay. With the number of their parents are allowed to bring plastic bottle they picked, per term, and they sell it to a recycling system.
I know a lady who was she used to own recyclers. Yeah. She's now working with the Lagos State government.
So they have a
she used to run a recycling.
Meanwhile, there are technology that converts cassava to all this nylon and the rest that are easily biodegradable.
Biodegradable,
and it is being used everywhere in the world. So we don't need to start.
Not everywhere. Some places
and paste. No, in some
not
countries.
Everywhere just yet. At least let's go to the phone lines real quickly.
And you wonder why 22 million. And I just wonder, maybe it's me, why 22 million people cannot pick, if you see it dirty, pick it.
And dispose of it well. 7:32, we are sorry for coming to you this late on the phone. Hi, good morning, what's your name? Hello, are you there? 0700 105 1105. Topical issues, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bella.
What's your name?
Good morning, Bella Banda.
Good morning.
Calling from Arigo. Bella, please, I quickly want to make correct that happened on Friday. The pastors are not elected to lead Nigeria. So for that man that says pastors, they are not elected to lead Nigeria. That is on that. On the issue of the excess food account, I think the only reason why nobody could say anything for now is because they have make this our president like a saint. So they believe everything is doing is right. So that is the only reason nobody could say anything. And gradually, this nation is slipping deep and deep and deep and deeper and deeper. Only God will deliver and save Nigeria.
Amen.
Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. 0700 105 1105. Topical issues, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name?
Hello, good morning. I'm Eddie from Songo.
Go ahead, you have a minute.
Well, God bless you. My take on this morning is the issue of the plastics and all these things they are talking about that they are passing a bit. Well, it's a welcome development, but what I want us to say, do you know many people that are going to lose their jobs? Let's not look at other countries. We are talking about Rwanda and this. We are not Rwanda. They have a lot of companies who have manufacturing industries of manufacturing all this pure water. This. I think it deals on us to begin to put our environmental sanitation in order, especially Nigerians. If you discover anybody that is doing trash or doing anything on the road, we can even arrest them and charge them to court. Maybe if we use one or two people as a deterrent, others will learn. But for you now to begin to close industries and say because of plastic and all those things, you know how many of them that will lose their jobs? We have over 10,000 people working in some of these industries. So I think I will not go by that idea that we should do with them. No, we are not Rwanda. We are not even Kenya. I think God will bless.
Thank you for your comment. Topical issues, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Go
ahead, you have a minute.
Good morning, Bella. As far as Nigeria is concerned, as far as the way we are using plastic, it's reckless, very reckless. Everywhere, all your gutters block the plastic. I don't know, for Lagos State government, it was that last time, if you can pack some plastic from gutter or from static this thing, so you be compensated. And that, I don't know why that is stopped. Because it's a lot. I don't know. We see all your now blocked with plastic everywhere. I don't know. That has caused a lot of havoc on our environment. Good morning.
Good morning. Topical issues. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. What's your name?
Okay, I'm Barrister Peter Oku.
Barrister Peter, you have a minute. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah. You see, one thing I think that is retarding our progress and democracy by implication in this country is that
we don't have no destination. You see, all these retired military generals like Obasanjo, like Babangida, like Buhari, they have not added value to our development and to our democracy. We ought to ban them for life because they have added our problems. You know, we need fresh ideas. Look at Buhari. He has taken us back over 100 years by the way he's doing things. He does not have the education. He does not have idea. He's just like a monarch. You know, so I think we better get serious and stop where we are and hold a conference and decide whether we want to move forward as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you. On Twitter this morning at City1051, this one coming in from Isaiah Kumuyi says, I commend Serap for the step it's taken on the gross insensitivity and unpatriotism of the House of Reps. Their choice of foreign-made Camrys and the rejection of our own is simply wasteful. Lucky Lola Onyemari says, I'm not surprised about them getting new cars. These are the people we expect to move us forward. That will be in our next life. Michael Ojua says, the federal government planning aggressive onslaught on Boko Haram. Are they saying we have been playing with them? Where is the defense budget going to? I hope international help will be sought to do the aggressive fight because the Nigerian military is overwhelmed. Adegboyega Adedeji says, by the time this government will leave the seat of power in 2023, Nigerians will know the level of disservice they've done to this nation. Fredrickson says, morning gentlemen in the studio, the proposed amount for the purchase of SUVs for the House of Rep members is absurd. How on earth do we think of getting out of this poverty as a nation living like this? Alaba Alakbe says, I don't know about all other areas, but I strongly believe Nigeria's money or treasury is heavily safe under Muhammad Buhari. So tell your guest Buhari never stole a penny. I think calling the president a thief is uncalled for. He didn't call the president a thief, just FYI. Edozie Naji says the president. Edozie Naji says the president saying that National Assembly isn't paid so much is laughable. I mean, these guys are living larger than life at the expense of the common Nigerian. All this is happening because Nigerians are too docile. Until we stand up and make them know that we've had enough, nothing changes. And as for Obaseki and Oshomole, they should sheathe their swords so that they can give their people good governance. Buy made in Nigeria rice, buy made in Nigeria clothes, furniture, etc. But all na scam. It is foreign holidays they have and foreign medical treatment and foreign products they use. Welcome to Nigeria. How can corruption die? Lucky from Bankole Estate in Magboro. Happy New Year, guys. Some are clamoring for the sack of service chiefs while the chief of staff remains, and one senator is sponsoring establishment of an agency for Boko Haram while the emir was saying fighting Boko Haram is fighting against God. This entity called Nigeria must be split. Abiodun David Timtokwe from Ikeja sends that one in. Lastly, Goke from UK simply asks, how will the current presidency say the National Assembly are not overpaid when the current legislature are paddy to the executive?
In fact, to be honest with you, this morning I was thinking the only thing Saraki will be regretting now would be if I had known I could have been cozy with the president. I would have run a ram through the eye of the needle.
And that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We're back tomorrow, going at exactly 7 a.m. I'm Bella Rozokuji.
City 1051 FM.